Okay, so in this next program, I'm going to use what we call parallel arrays to store some sale items and their prices. So let's say I want to create a shopping list. I think I'll buy all this stuff here, from the watermelon down to the flowers, and maybe the croissants and the cupcakes from the bakery. And also, how about a couple of packs of candy over here, the Sour Patch Kids and the Swedish Fish. So let's take a look. I already have the code in place, so that's 10 items in total that I want to buy. And I'm creating an array of type string of 10 items. Now notice here, this is a different way of populating the array than we did in the rainbow program before this. You can populate an array immediately when you're creating that array in memory. And do you notice I didn't have to put a size for the array because the compiler is smart enough to say, oh, she's providing me 10 items, so I guess that's an array of 10 elements, and it will allot the appropriate amount of memory to store those items. So that's just a different way of doing it, and if you know in advance what you want to put in your array, this is probably the more concise way of doing it. Okay, so I have my items in the items array. I've created a second array of type decimal, which I'm calling prices, and this is our parallel array. And, we have to be careful here. So, like the watermelon, for example, in the sale paper is $4.99. Okay, the blueberries are $3.99. The cantaloupe, $1.99. So take a look at the way I'm populating these arrays. The watermelon was $4.99. Watermelon is first in the items array. Therefore, that price has got to be first in the prices array. So they have to line up perfectly, and you, the programmer, are responsible for that. The compiler's not going to know if you put the wrong price for the wrong thing. You're not going to get a compiler error, but you're going to have an inaccurate program. Inaccurate prices, at least here. So the blueberries, $3.99. Blueberries are second. The cantaloupe, we said, was $1.99, and there it is. So I'm just being very careful when I'm populating these parallel arrays and making sure I get the correct price with the correct item. And that, that's the nature of parallel arrays, is that, they're running in parallel. Well, you know what? I actually have a visual I can show you. If you can imagine like an Excel spreadsheet like this. I have the items here, and then their prices right next to them. So, and they run parallel in the spreadsheet and in your parallel arrays as well when you code them correctly. Okay, so that's it. The arrays are populated, and now we can print out the contents. You know what? Let me run this real quickly. Okay, so here's our output. I have some nice column headers here and a dashed line. And then we have the name of the item, as well as a couple of tabs. I'll show you how to do some tabs in the output window. And then I have the prices formatted in currency style. So the thing about parallel arrays, they're easy because if you can write a program that processes one array, then it's really easy to just add to another array, or even, several more arrays. It's like once you get the plumbing in place, I like to say, it's not a big deal whether you're dealing with one array or 10 arrays, like looping through one array or 10 arrays, it's not a big deal. So we have here just a couple of single lines for the console headers, the output headers. And then I have my for loop looping through the arrays, plural, in parallel. I'm using loop counter J. Once again, must start counting at 0 because array indexes start at 0. And we're going to keep going while J is less than items.length. I could have just as easily said prices.length because they're parallel arrays. They have the same number of elements. They both have 10 apiece. Another option I could have done here, since I did this technique up at the top, I could also use the size variable here, which has 10 elements. Okay, so or 10 value of 10, I should say. So anyway, we have our increment, And then finally the body of the loop. Again, this is a one-liner in the body, so I don't need curly braces. It wouldn't hurt anything if I put them there, but that's redundant, really. So anyway, now I'm printing the contents of the arrays from the arrays here. Loop counter as array index. We saw that in the last program. I mentioned what an important technique that is, and we're seeing it again here, right? Because we want, like, the value of j, as this loop is running to completion, the values that j takes on are going to be 0 through 9, the way this is set up. And those are the array indexes, 0 through 9, because it's a 10-element array. They're both 10-element arrays. So loop counter as array index, I've got a couple of tabs in between, the tab escape sequence, and then the prices right next to it, pulling from the prices array. Again, loop counter as array index. So you have J and J, and everything will fall into place really nicely. I am using toString here with a currency style to get the pricing format. So yeah, again, parallel arrays, pretty easy, but the trick is you have to be very careful when you're populating them and make sure that the data matches and you don't accidentally switch a value around or something like that.